What type of lonely are you? Various types of loneliness exist, but there is one type that is vastly more common than the rest, and it's just as tough to deal with. We're talking about social loneliness. Unlike being alone in your room or in the woods, feeling lonely socially means lacking companionship and human interaction. It's a type of loneliness that isn't cured by being alone. It's just amplified. This blog post will explore what social loneliness entails, how it impacts mental health and emotional well-being, and some tips for coping with this isolating type of lonesomeness. What is social loneliness? Social loneliness is defined as a specific type of loneliness in which a person lacks companionship and social interaction. It can be experienced in any type of social situation, e.g., at work, at school, or even with friends. In fact, it's one of the most common forms of loneliness that many people experience. Unfortunately, people tend to have a tough time coping with social loneliness, which makes this type of lonesomeness even more frustrating and confusing to deal with. Sufferers of social loneliness often feel a lack of true camaraderie when in a group setting. They might feel anxious and out of place in these environments, and they'll often find it difficult to connect with others. Because of this, they may tend to isolate themselves from others even more than they already do. What causes social loneliness? There are many factors that can contribute to social loneliness. Often, social loneliness occurs as a result of a painful social experience. A person will begin wondering what he or she did wrong, why the person betrayed them, and if there is something wrong with him or her, how can he or she make this person like them again? This type of loneliness often causes sufferers to try even harder to connect with others. In some cases, sufferers feel that they are too different from their peers, so they might feel as if their peers don't want to be around them. How does social loneliness impact mental health and emotional well-being? Social isolation is one of the greatest stressors for people's mental health and emotional well-being. The lack of social interaction can lead to a whole slew of negative emotions, and it can also negatively impact a person's ability to form healthy relationships with others. Social loneliness will typically make a person feel as if no one likes them, but this feeling is amplified by the fact that they don't have any friends in the first place. Tips for coping with social loneliness. Although it may feel impossible to cope with social loneliness, there are a few things you can do to get through it all. For starters, you should talk to someone about your loneliness. Is there someone out there that you trust and feel comfortable talking to? If so, talk about what's going on with them. Another tip is to get out of your comfort zone. You don't have many friends because you've isolated yourself a bit too much. Instead of isolating yourself even more, try making plans with someone you're close to. For example, call an old friend that you haven't talked to in a long time or go out with coworkers after work. Finally, reach out to some online communities and organizations for help and support. Summary: in conclusion, social loneliness is one of the most common types of loneliness that people experience. It can be caused by a number of different factors, and it's very common for people to feel embarrassed or ashamed about feeling lonely. However, lonely doesn't have to feel this way. If you're suffering from social loneliness, it's important to talk about it with someone. That's all for today's video. Subscribe to our channel for more amazing content.